Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. This year, Ireland has reported record foreign direct investment with overall investments 10% above pre-pandemic levels. Wide U.S. companies like Apple, Facebook, Pfizer, Intel, and many others continue to view Ireland as an attractive business location. Joining me to discuss is Brian Conroy, who's Executive Vice President and Director of North America at IDA Ireland. Brian, it's great to see you again. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Yes, good afternoon, Jill, and great to be back on Trade Talks again. So I guess to answer your question, our mid-year results have been very good. We're very pleased with them. Our investments up by 9% over last year, and our jobs created up by 44% compared to last year. So I think, against a very challenging background, these are a really excellent set of results. And I think, really bode well for Ireland in the future. I think there's probably three reasons why the results have been strong. I think the first is that in the pandemic, operationally, Ireland has weathered it very well. We've managed to get companies' operations, the trade, from a manufacturing and services point of view, in and out of Ireland very, very well. And the government has really supported companies to ensure that that happens. And I think that new companies coming in have been able to scale up pretty well as well, and that's been a real plus for Ireland. I think secondly, Jill, the factors that make Ireland a really good location for investment, really excellent talent pipeline, access to the EU market. I think is the really good high-tech infrastructure that we've got. They really have stood to us and have resonated with companies, and particularly with US companies. I think maybe one final thing that's been a factor is that companies have really searched for political sustainability and stability, and Ireland, as a location, really ticks those boxes.
And Brian, U.S. companies aren't setting up operations only in Dublin, but it's across all of Ireland. That's correct, right?
Yeah, correct. We very much welcome the fact that almost 50% of the investment has gone to regional locations. So we do know that Dublin is a really attractive international location. But equally, companies are finding that there are great spots for, clusters of innovation and capability right across Ireland. So whether it's, Galway, Waterford, Cork, Limerick, these locations, by themselves have really attractive offerings as well. And companies have gravitated towards that. I think also the fact that with the pandemic and hybrid and remote working, there's been more willingness for companies to move away from urban centres.
According to the IMF, Ireland is one of the best performing economies in the world, recording GDP growth of 12.5%. Is foreign direct investment fueling the country's economic boom?
So it has a part to play. So we've had very strong GDP growth, as you say, and because we've got almost 1,800 overseas companies based in our portfolio, these are really strong contributors to our exports, our trade, goods and services, wages, and have played a big part in the GDP growth. But I would say also, Jill, that Irish companies have also performed very well and exported. As an open traded economy, we also export a lot from the Irish companies. And also another factor is the domestic economy, particularly in relation to tourism. Lots of American tourists coming back to Ireland, and also the construction sector have, in comparison to previous years, have really bounced back very well.
And finally, Brian, as we enter the second half of the year, there's geopolitical uncertainty, inflationary pressures, and a pending global recession. Are you concerned about a slowdown in investments? What's your outlook here?
Yes, we have to take regard of the what's coming up. There are continuing inflationary supply chain pressures, and Ireland is not immune to that as well. So for us, we're concentrating on the factors that are really important. Competitiveness, the flow of talent. Ensuring that companies, when they come to Ireland, they're really well served. And I think if we can do a good job on that, no matter what the outlook is, and what I can say is that we've had difficult times before in Ireland, and we've always managed to be really resilient and to ensure that that investment continues to flow. And we're confident that we will be taking the measures to ensure that Ireland is competitive. And we expect, no matter what the environment is, that the flow will continue in 2022 and into 2023.
All right, Brian, we appreciate the insight as always. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq.
Thank you, Jill.